In 2004, I was asked if I would be interested in the position of AVID coordinator and teacher at Lloyd Intermediate School in East Garden Grove, California. Our AVID program was completing its first year, and a week before the end of the school year, our AVID coordinator had suddenly accepted a teaching position in Minnesota. As recently as 2002, our school had a 599 API score. Our school was comprised of 95% minority students, 85% Latino, and about 10% Vietnamese. Over 80% of our students were second language learners, and over 90% were receiving a free or reduced lunch. We had the problem of two rival gangs, one from a housing project near the school, which was considered the worst housing project in Orange County, and the other from a neighborhood that the Santa Ana police had claimed had a gang member living in every third house. The 175 students from the second neighborhood were bused into the school. I had heard the stories of what AVID could do. Everyone that knows me recognizes my mantra: believe in them until they believe in themselves. But I wasn't totally convinced in 2004 that AVID would work for our kids. I really struggled that first year, distrusted by the 8th graders who loved the teacher who had moved away, and challenged by the 7th graders. I also taught 5 preps that year, the price for being able to teach AVID. I wasn't sure about staying at Doig, but I signed on for another year, and then it happened. A student from my first year of teaching, an at-risk 16-year-old whom I had mentored and worked with closely, the kind of student teachers live for, was killed by gang members at the high school while leaving the school to walk home. Equally upsetting was the fact that one of the kids charged and later convicted had been a student in my GATE history class that first year. I started tracking down those first-year students and was shocked how many had dropped out of school or were barely hanging on. Of the 180 students from the first year, I could count the number of California University A through G eligible students on my 2 hands. I had to do better. Working 70-hour weeks, including Saturdays, and moving into the neighborhood where the school was located were important parts of making our AVID program something to be proud of. As we expanded the program from 70 to 140 students, we set 3 major goals for the students and staff that year: taking Cornell notes school-wide, organizing and hosting family workshops, and using the Costas levels of questioning in all classrooms. By 2006, our AVID program had grown to 215 students, and our then regional coordinator, Sally Arianes, suggested we should apply as a national demonstration site. In addition, another AVID coordinator from our district and I met with our then superintendent, Dr. Laura Schwam, to pitch the idea of taking AVID from 4 secondary sites to district-wide. She took up the challenge, and in 2 years, 17 intermediate and high schools, all of our district, had AVID. I have often felt that the AVID kids in our district are my legacy, but in reality, it has been the individual students who changed my life. I joked about being my students' second father, but often I was their only father. In 2007, I became caregiver of one of my students, Jesus, who 4 years later became the keynote speaker for our 2011 Garden Grove AVID Graduate Celebration. He will be starting his 3rd year at Humboldt State University this month and plans to become an art and Spanish teacher when he graduates. In 2010, I doubled my caregiver responsibilities when another AVID student, one who had struggled with gang issues, addiction, and homelessness, arrived at my classroom with another former student who told me, You're doing a good job with Jesus, now Jeremy needs help. Jeremy will be starting his second year at Rio Hondo Community College this month, working towards a career in either law, community advocacy, or both. They all become your kids, and I have them at almost every UC and CSU campus. They have won the Gates Millennium, Questbridge, Simon Family Foundation, and AVID Scholar Awards. I am extremely proud of them, especially those who took the wrong path and clawed their way back. Through GED exams and community college, AVID taught them to not give up. I stay in touch with many kids, including the 30 AB 540 students at universities throughout the state. Doig became a national demonstration school in 2006 and has been ever since. In 2010, I gave up my position as coordinator. I was battling our district over their decision to end honors classes, which I felt jeopardized the AVID program. I was also teaching the pilot for English Learners College Readiness, which is now called AVID Excel, and working with Michelle Mullen, who gave me the idea for the AVID Family Council, which we started in 2008. The Family Council plans workshops, organizes events, advocates for the school and community, and raised over $5,000 this past year, along with awarding $1,600 in scholarships to Doig graduates. Over 40 AVID parents were members of this year's council. This gave me another way to stay involved with AVID, and this fall will mark my 6th year as an AVID Excel teacher. In 2006, I started a foundation, the Abraham's Light Foundation, to mentor Latino AVID kids who are bright but have hardships and need an advocate. I am extremely proud to say that Raimundo Miranda is one of my Abraham's Light scholars. Advocacy is an important part of AVID, and it paid off this past year when Doig was allowed to pilot pre-advanced placement history and science classes, in which many of our AVID students were enrolled. I'd like to believe that this was a big part of the over 30-point jump in our API scores this year, as we broke through the 800 level, which seemed impossible back in 2002. Thinking back to December 6, 2005, the day I committed myself to believing in my kids, keeping them from dying and destroying their futures. I am excited by the accomplishments of my Garden Grove AVID colleagues, who in 2013 graduated 343 college-bound AVID seniors and sent over 700 intermediate school AVID students on to 9th grade AVID. My highest praise goes out to Santiago High, where most of Doig's students go on to high school. Santiago became a national demonstration site in 2009. In 2005, only 12% of the Latino students at Santiago completed their California A through G coursework. The past 2 years, that number has been over 50%, the highest rate for Latino students at any of our district's 7 high schools. The poverty, gangsters, projects, and drugs are still around our community, but they are quickly being driven out by the engineers, teachers, biologists, and architects that are graduating annually. Thank you.